Right, so it is day 124 of my attempt to plant a tree every single day for 2023, and so let's get on with it. Right, so for today's planting we're heading back to an area that I did try and plant a tree in last year, but I failed. So I tried planting a truncheon of an Erythrina abyssinica, which unfortunately I didn't get it quite right with the timing and it did rot. So today we're going with a tree that already has roots, and hopefully that'll go a little bit better. So we're going with Terminalia manteli. Now this is one of the Madagascan trees. It has a very spreading branching habit and it should be perfect for this spot because this spot is right between the driveway and a vegetable garden, and that does mean that with the vegetable garden constantly getting dug up all the time, there's an awful lot of dust comes from there, and because it's an open space with a driveway where people park their cars, it tends to get very blown dry in the vegetable garden. So for one, it should protect the cars and the house from dust, and from the other it should protect the vegetable garden from drying out too fast, and it should generally help quite well with that. Because it tolerates pruning really well, it shouldn't be too dense and shady, and its many leaves should be a very good filter for the air, generally keeping the dust out, keeping everything nice and clean. So I'm digging a particularly deep hole today because I'm going to be planting it with quite a large piece of Dracaena fragrans, and the deep hole is as much as to break through the hard pan, it is also to make sure that the Dracaena fragrans is well supported and doesn't flop over. This is not going to be here long term, so once the Terminalia is larger this will come out, so probably in about 3-4 years I will end up cutting this away and planting it elsewhere, so as truncheons. I might even take some of the smaller stems in the same planting season off this sort of 3-stemmed piece to do that with, but it is very close to the Terminalia. I wouldn't normally say that is a sensible place to put it, but this will not be staying in there long term. So once I've cut away the stems a few times, the base will die and then it won't be interfering with the Terminalia by the time the Terminalia's trunk starts to reach it. I'm also going to be putting in a couple of pieces of Aloe arborescens. I have to use quite long stem pieces of this again. This is so that I can put the bases of them outside of the wet part which the Dracaena and the Terminalia are going into, because the stem itself, where it is unbroken, doesn't mind that at all really. It's quite a hardy aloe, but the cut end, which is freshly wounded because I only just cut it, will not want to be in the wet. And finally I'm putting, as a sort of toxic barrier to add to the sort of ground cover, I'm going to be putting in a piece of Cotlet Barbea, which I thought was rooted but turns out it wasn't. So again I'm trying to tuck that to the side so it doesn't get too wet, so it's just on the surface of the wet area rather than sitting damp. This is a sandy soil so it won't stay wet for long, but it wouldn't really be ideal for that sort of open wound to be in water. So that should be everything for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you haven't enjoyed it, thank you for sticking around anyway. Please tune in again tomorrow. I will be planting another tree and I have not yet decided what, so we can find out together.